Hey, be a squid and subscribe to my mediocrity. How's it going, my squids? Today we're gonna be doing the actual review for Code Vein, Code Big Brain, Code fucking Jesus Christ, I can't, oh boy. Listen, I like anime games as much as the next guy. I especially when they come out, you know, fully baked and they're super good and they're top notch and they're absolutely fantastic, right? And I know this sounds like it's going down a dark place and somebody's probably already pissed. Listen, I like Code Vein to a certain degree, but there is a level of just annoyance with this game that just, you know, anime games, it's like, man, in the actual anime, I'm fine with, you know, sitting there watching, listening, understanding, going in depth, but when I'm playing an anime video game, I just want the cool parts, and that's kind of it. So before I get into the negativity, I do want to start off with some nice things that I like about Code Vein. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about this game. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is the combat, which I really enjoy. I like the parry system. I like the way whenever you do get a parry, the camera pans in. You get to see all the hot action, the crazy stabbage, even though you're sometimes stabbing certain enemies in the nuts or the ass, but nonetheless, it still looks pretty BA, and not to mention the variety of options you have. See, in Dark Souls, at least, they had the parry and the little stab system, right? It was a thing, right? But there wasn't really much variation in that regard. And then with Code Vein, they have the different options for your kind of your drain weapon or whatever the fuck it's called. That adds a level of just absolute stabbage. You got the two doges that come out of your back and looks like some Tokyo Ghoul stuff. You got the extendo spear. You got the Queen's Claw. It all looks so good. And even when you get the backstab, the parry, it all looks so fantastic, and it's wonderfully crafted together, and it makes me feel anime as fuck, boy. Not to mention, just outside of the parry system and the backstab stuff going on, you have the regular combat, which there's a certain level of diversity between each weapons. You've actually got, you know, ranged guns, which is really cool, because I really wasn't expecting there to be any kind of ranged weapons. I thought they were gonna maybe just stick with the basics of what's in, you know, like Dark Souls. Since this is more of an inspired / ripoff of Dark Souls, you would assume that they wouldn't go or stray too far from that, at least in the combat area. But no, they brought a gun with a bayonet on it, so you get like a melee gun, which is, once again, anime as fuck, boy. I think that might be my favorite thing about Code Vein, just lugging around a giant rifle with a bayonet on the end of it and just blasting people left and right. Not to mention, you can change up your builds whenever you want, mind you. You can just choose a warrior build. You can kind of go this fast dexterity type style build. You can go full range, mage, whatever. You can do a variety of things. It's not as in-depth as Dark Souls, where you can do a lot of goofy stuff, or just kind of it's like a more serious version and more of like a lackluster RPG style, but nonetheless, it's still something that allows a bit of diversity to your gameplay and adds some replayability if you want to do a variety of different things, perhaps. Alright, so that about sums up the great things about Code Vein. Now let's start talking about the negativity here. So let me start off by saying the story, it's Snoresville. It is Snoresville, son. I don't know what it is about anime games that can't understand how to do anime storytelling to any degree. It's just, oh man, it's absolute snore fest, man. I didn't care at all. I didn't give one single care, dude. It just was one of those copy paste, big boob lady here, sleep on her lap there, some dudes roll up and then take your girl from you. Now you're fighting for her for the first half of the game, and then you proceed to, you know, become whatever. Then you finally meet the main bad guy. It's just it's obvious. It's just, you kind of already know what's happening, and it's not that impressive. Not to mention, they keep doing this stupid thing where, for whatever reason, they absolutely refuse to do personal character voice acting. I don't know why you don't shell out the money. Fuck it, I'll do it for free, homie. Just call me up and I'll put on the most anime voice I got and just do it for free. Just stop giving me this insane character customization, which, by the way, I forgot to talk about that. But the character customization, absolutely fantastic. Very in-depth, amazing, 10 out of 10. Love the character customization. Now, aside from that, fucking voice acting. Why the hell does my character not have a voice? You clearly put some resources to customizing a voice for my character. They even have some voice lines. Why? Why didn't you just fucking... I just don't get it. I don't get it. How are you gonna give me the option to pick a voice for my character, and then my character is a mute? I just don't understand your logic. I really don't, and it bothers the fuck out of me. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it when anime games do this bullshit where you give me... it's one thing to give me a character customization with no voice options. Fine. I know where this is going, but you gave me a character customization with actual voice lines that are not just grunts. They actually say words, and you didn't add that to anything. You didn't even bother to at least do like a Greedfall where you have like this kind of just plain voice actor for your main character, which, by the way, that voice actor was really good. So don't really understand why you didn't at least go the extra mile to at least get one voice actor for the female and male characters and just have them do the lines fully throughout the game, at least, if you're gonna try and emphasize the story. Another thing that I'm not a huge fan of is that the maps are so linear, bro. They're so predictable. It's just walk around the corner. There's a guy laying there. He's just laying there. I know you're laying there, bro. Just get up and try and fight me. Why are you waiting for me to walk past you so you can wake up? Like, I know this tactic, bro. Like, this is a direct rip from Dark Souls. Like, Dark Souls can get away with this because they're the innovators. They're the creators of this shit. You stole this and then copy and pasted it so many times that I'm tired of it. Why? That's besides the point. I want to talk about the maps. The maps are just, it's what you would expect. You know, you're in this inner city, suburban, hot, apocalypto garbage that it's whatever. It doesn't, the world does not inspire me to go out and explore. Every time I go somewhere, right? It's the same wall, it's the same rubble, it's the same building. It's nothing different. This is where my problem with people saying that, oh, this is a Souls-inspired game. No, it's not. It's a Souls rip-off bootleg copy down from the corner store of the 7-Eleven by some Mexican guy handing bootleg tapes out of his fucking garbage-ass beer can case. That's what this is. This is not a Souls-inspired game. It is a wannabe rip-off that falls short in quite a few areas, in my personal opinion. And mind you, this is my main criticism right here, is the map. The map is just, it's so boring, it's so predictable, and it's just something that doesn't inspire me to go out and look for garbage. Like, yeah, I need to go find this material so I can hand it to this guy, and he'll give me some extra materials for a new weapon, a new cloak, or whatever, and it's like, I don't care. I just don't care. I'm just not a fan of that. I'm really just not a fan of that. As much as I like the combat and I like the customization, the maps are so important because that was what was amazing about Dark Souls, is that you would go to these new areas and, my lord, the details, the absolute fantastic drawing, the background, like you like that Winter Wonderland area in Dark Souls. I forgot which Dark Souls it was in, but that place was magical, son. That was like evil Disneyland, but I wanted to go there because it was so good. The enemies were so different, and mind you, they were a lot more difficult than what you just came from. And again, the environment, it's blue, it's kind of got this happy vibe, but it's got these like Reaper demons just roaming about, and not to mention the screamers and all sorts of nonsense. There was a lot going on in Dark Souls, and then in this one, it's plain. It's just plain. You're just fighting in a suburban end of the world apocalypto garbage, and it's not it's not good. And I guess kind of add a little bit more to the enemies and whatnot, not much changes. Like you get a few different variations and new enemies as you progress, but nothing that is so drastic, nothing that is so fantastic or that adds a significant challenge to your gameplay. It's just kind of like, if as long as I can get behind this one enemy, they're gonna die. Like, that's just what the gameplay realistically is. As much as I like backstabbing and parrying, it's all very, very easy, and you can kind of just get past everyone and just kind of backstab the shit out of him, and that's it. It's very copy and paste and not that great. And at this point, I'm just kind of nitpicking, but I'm not a huge fan of the English voice acting. The Japanese is okay and tolerable, but I'm always gonna think Japanese voice acting is better than, you know, the English dub, unless you're bringing out voice actors, you know, like Liam O'Brien, fucking Steve Blum, and you know, the top shots, you know what I mean? Unless you're shelling out the big bucks to bring out the dub warriors, I'm not gonna care. Overall, I think Code Vein is interesting. I think it adds a different dynamic to a Souls-like game. I know it's not supposed to be a absolute direct copy and paste of you know, a Souls game, but really, it just feels like they tried really hard to focus on the aspects that were good about Dark Souls while adding their own nonsense that I could deal without. You know, realistically, I would definitely take a more copy and paste Dark Souls with an anime take on it, rather than some of the stuff that they put into the game. And mind you, I'm not saying this game is horrible by any means. Surprisingly enough, there's not a lot of glitches going on, at least for me. I haven't really come across anything. I have seen a couple videos where some weird stuff happens, but nothing that's absolutely game breaking, mind you. So I'm surprised how optimized it is, especially for an anime game on release day. Typically, release day for anime games, looking at you, Jump Force, is fucking awful, and they typically are just the worst thing on planet Earth. So surprisingly enough, Code Vein actually handles itself pretty well, at least from my experience. So here's what I'll say in conclusion. Code Vein is for a particular someone. If you like anime games and you want a decent anime story, depending on your voice acting take and whatever, and if you're willing to sit through it, and you also want a Dark Souls with a little bit of difficulty, I will say that Code Vein is a lot easier than Dark Souls in my personal opinion, but again, I digress. But if you're looking for anime, you're looking for Dark Souls crossover, then this game is for you. It's not necessarily for me. I'm going to be playing it probably till I beat it, but I don't think I'm going to take it any further than that. But ultimately, I'm gonna leave it up to you guys whether you want to pick it up or not. Those are my criticisms and my opinions, so yeah, it is what it is. But I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye bye.